Let's talk about something that most of us have been told in recent years: to avoid the sun and wear sunscreen every day. Basically, to stay out of direct sunlight as much as possible. Now, I believe that this advice can do more harm than good. So in this video, I want to make the case for sunlight, not against it. Because when you look at what natural sunlight actually does for your body, things like vitamin D production, boosting your mood, photobiomodulation, then you start to realize that the war on sunlight might be one of the biggest health mistakes of our time. Let's break everything down and start with the most well-known sunlight benefit: vitamin D. Yes, you can take it as a supplement, but here's what most people don't realize. The vitamin D that your body makes from sunlight is sulfated, which means it's more soluble and more bioavailable than the form that you get in most supplements. Even better, your body naturally regulates how much vitamin D it makes from sunlight, which means that there's basically no risk of overdose. And this is unlike high-dose supplements, which can definitely throw off other things in your body that you need to be aware of. And there's also big cardiovascular bonuses, because sun-derived vitamin D helps improve blood vessel function and it lowers blood pressure. I go into this in much more detail in another video. The short version is that you cannot completely replace skin vitamin D with supplemental vitamin D. Next, we have photobiomodulation. That's a fancy word for what happens when infrared and near-infrared light from the sun interacts with your cells. These light waves go deep into your tissues, get absorbed by your mitochondria, and boost ATP production, so adenosine triphosphate, the main fuel that your cells run on. More ATP means faster tissue repair, less inflammation, some pain relief, and of course, more energy. It's one reason why so many people feel better physically and mentally after just 10 or 15 minutes in the sun. Let me quickly walk you through how it works on a cellular level so you understand the importance of photobiomodulation. Your cells absorb the sunlight through special molecules called chromophores, especially one in the mitochondria called cytochrome C oxidase. Unfortunately, this molecule is often blocked by nitric oxide, which slows down energy production. But sunlight knocks nitric oxide off, which then frees up the mitochondria to do its job more efficiently. The result is a boost in ATP and all of the potential benefits that I just named. This is what people refer to when they talk about sunlight therapy, at least in part because there are also hormonal benefits that we need to go over. You see, sunlight doesn't just fuel your cells, it also fuels your mood. Your skin can actually produce neurotransmitters and certain hormones, which is something that most people think only the brain or maybe the adrenal glands can do. The best example here is serotonin. Sunlight, especially UVB rays, help convert tryptophan into 5-HTP and then into serotonin right in your skin. It doesn't change the actual pathway, but it just upregulates the enzymes that are involved here. So it's like flipping a switch to high power. On top of that, sunlight also helps regulate melatonin, so the hormone that controls your sleep-wake cycle. During the day, sunlight suppresses melatonin, so you stay alert, and at night, the absence of sunlight triggers melatonin release. That's why avoiding sunlight messes with your natural rhythm, and it's one of the reasons people who never go outside often struggle with things like fatigue, depression, and poor sleep. Of course, I'm not saying you should roast yourself for hours every day, because you don't have to. I know that vitamin D production requires the sun to be at a high enough angle above the horizon to be triggered. But even if you don't cover all your vitamin D needs through sunlight, for example in the winter, regular sun exposure can still trigger photobiomodulation to some extent. So some sun is still better than none at all. This then brings me to the sunscreen dilemma. I'm not anti-sunscreen, especially because I naturally have very pale skin. But I do think it can be overused, for example when it's applied daily and year-round. The UVB rays that are blocked by sunscreen are the ones responsible for vitamin D synthesis. So daily use of sunscreen will definitely downregulate this process. On top of that, there's the issue of what's actually in your sunscreen. There are two main types, which are chemical sunscreens and physical sunscreens. Chemical ones absorb UV radiation like a sponge. The UV rays are converted into heat and then released from the skin. Physical sunscreens are mineral-based and sit on top of your skin and reflect the UV rays away from it, kind of like a shield. Chemical sunscreens usually include synthetic compounds like oxybenzone and others. And physical sunscreens use minerals like zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. The only ingredient on that list that is not a potential carcinogen is zinc oxide. Of course, the dose will always make the poison, and you are only taking in very small amounts. So if you're spending a full day at the beach, definitely protect yourself, since a sunburn will be much worse for your long-term health. So I'm not ignoring that sunlight itself can also trigger oxidative stress and therefore can be a potential carcinogen. But I do believe that for daily use, even in the winter, the cost-benefit calculation of sunscreen kind of shifts. The idea of wearing chemical sunscreen every day, year-round, and for your entire life is kind of an overkill in my opinion, especially when we know that some of these ingredients are fat-soluble and can build up in the body over time. Of course, I'm not telling you what to do, and you have to make up your own mind. I just wanted to highlight how we've been told for some time now that sunlight is dangerous and that we need to cover up and block it out. And yes, it can definitely be damaging in excess. But moderate sunlight exposure is one of the most powerful health tools that we have available. And if you're smart about it, it can deliver some amazing health benefits.